Hi everyone, good evening. Is my audio and video clear? Thank you, Adi. Good evening, Sureka, Vibhuti. Okay, Akanksha. Good evening, good evening. Naveen, very good evening. Adi, Rachna, Srinidhi. Okay, chalo. I hope we'll have the class in a very smooth and continuous manner today, है ना? Without any network disruption. Uh, so I hope that everything is clear till now. Any doubt from previous class, please let me know. Then we will move on to our topic for today, which is inequality and its measurement. A very important topic, which is inequality. Now, there was a news a few months back related to the state of inequality in India, according to the World Bank. Can anyone tell me, or has anyone heard of this news, or remembers कि अच्छा ऐसा भी कुछ था? India was regarded as dash most equal country in the world based on consumption. Any idea related to this news? Have you heard of this news? Because this was I think it was July's news, July May, this news had come that World Bank has placed India on this dash position in case of inequality, measured by the Gini index. Hannah, this was in PI. We're going to discuss about all this: what inequality is, what is Gini index, and what is the state of India. What are the inequality trends in India? But does anyone know if anybody went through some the newspaper or was aware of anything? Preparing for any other exam. This was in PIB also. Hannah, there was a debate also that India is considered this equal, and is it actually the scenario in the country or not? Nobody has an idea. Yes, Rachna, very good. So, India has been regarded as the fourth most equal country in the world. Can you imagine India as the fourth most equal country? Right? Gini index of 25.5, absolutely correct, Rachna. Which is, so we are far, according to World Bank, according to Gini index that has been used by World Bank. Based on consumption, we are the fourth most equal country in the world, and China, US, these countries are also behind us. Okay? So this was a news. That is why this topic becomes all the more important. Okay? That is why we need to understand. See, why is static portion important? Because this was in news. Gini index was in news. If Gini index is in news, then Lawrence curve was also in news. Okay? If you, I will share with you the PIB. The PIB also, the PIB document also. There in detail they have mentioned about Lawrence curve, Gini index, consumption based inequality, है ना? So how do we measure inequality? What is the parameter of measuring inequality? Acha, inequality if seen, we are talking about how many dimensions of inequality, है ना? Then what are the reasons for inequality in the country? Right, then what are the measures to reduce inequality in the country? Because there can be a potential, there's going to be an MCQ also. There can be an MCQ related to this Gini index and India's current situation, and there can be a descriptive answer writing question related to this, that India has been considered. For example, they can give you a question like India has been considered as the fourth most equal country by World Bank. What do you think is the scenario of India? What is inequality? How is it measured? ऐसे करके linking the current and static portion, you might get a question in the exam. है ना? Such kind of questions are asked in the examination. All right. Now, before I start, I want you to tell me that what is the meaning of inequality? Who is going to tell me in the comment section that what is the meaning of inequality? What do you understand by inequality? I want to know that first. Then we will move forward. ठीक है? Income gaps, gender gaps, okay, yes. How are you going to define inequality otherwise? Anybody else? Rachna, Adi, Naveen, Vibhuti. Vibhuti saying discrimination on basis of caste, gender. That can be one dimension, है ना? That can be one dimension. No equal distribution of basic needs. Yes, Rachna, very good. That can also be considered. See, you can see the word over here, inequality, right? That means it is the state of not being equal, right? The state of not being equal. Now, the state of not being equal in which aspect that matters, right? In which aspect are we talking about that we are unequal? In which aspect? That also varies because inequality has many dimensions. For example, you are only saying discrimination on the basis of caste. So you can say that one way to measure inequality is caste inequality. Gender gaps, it can be gender inequality. Gaps between male and female. Gender inequality. What else? Then income word was being used by one of you. So income inequality is one dimension. Wealth inequality is another dimension. Wealth inequality. These both can be considered as economic inequality as a broader term. Then we can say that you can be unequal in case of politics also. You can say political inequality or social inequality also. You can say religion based inequality also. Religion based inequality you can say. Right? Regional inequality also. Regional inequality. Inequality in terms of opportunity. Right? So, inequality has many dimensions. Right? Inequality is not just one specific thing. Inequality, you can be unequal in different aspects. And like all of these we have discussed over here. You know? Majorly in economics we have to, when we study in economics particularly, what are we going to focus on? We are going to focus on economic inequality. That is going to be our ambit. That means you're going to talk about income inequality and wealth inequality that we have to basically study. But inequality as a broader term is the state of not being equal in a particular aspect. Now that aspect depends, what is our what is our agenda of studying. For example, our agenda of studying right now inequality is the economic inequality. Okay, fine. So inequality refers to all the differences. Inequality refers to all the differences relating to distribution of resources, opportunities, and wealth in a society. When we talk about basically inequality, that means there is lack or differences in these kind of things. The differences in the distribution of resources, opportunities, wealth. UN describes inequality as a state of not being equal, especially in status, rights, and opportunities. And all these things can be measured by the amount of income that you have, by the amount of wealth that you have. Right? There are many types of inequalities: economic, social, political, class inequality also. Class inequality is again based on income. We say na high class, low class, that kind of inequality. Class inequality is on the basis of how much income you earn or how much able you are to afford the basic needs and to afford a luxurious life kind of. Education inequality, some people, for example, you have seen in so many schools, education is not provided to the Dalits. They are discriminated upon. We see so many news on a daily basis related to this. There can be regional inequality. Regional inequality on the basis of region. For example, our eastern parts of the states, for example, Odisha, Jharkhand, West Bengal, all these states, there is a huge amount of inequality there. But if you consider, say, Kerala, then in that case inequality is less. So region wise also there are differences in inequality. Some regions are more unequal than the other. Okay, so one is income inequality, which talks about differences in the flows of earnings or transfers. That means you're talking about money, income. Then something known as wealth inequality. Now so many people, get confused and use income and wealth interchangeably. ठीक है, but income is specifically the money aspect, the cash that you get, the salary aspect, the money, the earnings aspect, and wealth is a broader term which includes cash also, but it includes whatever assets you have. For example, you have stock of land, housing, financial savings, capital, all of these come under your wealth. So wealth is a broader term, income is a part of wealth you can consider. Fine. Then is consumption inequality, when there are differences in household expenditures reflecting living standards. Now, when I talk about World Bank discussing about that India is the fourth most equal country, it is using Gini index, and in Gini index, what is it using? In Gini index, it is calculating Gini through consumption surveys. You might have heard about household consumption expenditure survey. If you have not heard of this, don't worry, we are going to cover it in our next few classes also. Household consumption expenditure survey, this survey is conducted by NSSO, or you can say NSO. Okay, NSSO conducts this survey, household consumption expenditure survey, that how many households are, how much amount of money is being spent on consumption purpose. So a survey is conducted. Based on this survey, World Bank decided the Gini index, and we saw that India is one of the fourth most equal countries in the world. Okay, so that is based on consumption. So now, what is the reason behind this? Okay, what is the reason behind this? Let me first explain you what is Gini index. Then I want you guys to think about this. How come we are the fourth most equal countries based on this consumption, and why do you think that, based on consumption we are equal as we compare ourselves to developed countries? Okay, I want you guys to think upon this. I have the answer for this obviously, but I want you guys to think of it. If you can think of it right now, good. Till the time we are covering all of this, think of this, that we are saying India on the basis of consumption is the most equal country. How come, when I talk about consumption, then how come we are equal in that sense? How come we are equal to the developed countries in that sense, and better than the developed countries also? Okay, I want you guys to think about that. Okay, so consumption inequality is one type of inequality. Then we have opportunity inequality. What is opportunity inequality? Differences in ability to access education, health, employment, other capabilities. So when we do not have adequate opportunities, when we are deprived of certain opportunities, for example, in India, caste system is very, very prevalent. Caste system is still penetrating in our societies, and based on this, sometimes we discriminate the people, we discriminate students, we discriminate the population based on the caste system, and because of that there is less ability to access education, health, employment opportunities and all. So that is opportunity inequality. Good evening, Ambadi. Take care. Then there are certain dimensions of inequality. When we see inequality, in what all dimension we can see? One is vertical inequality. So one is what? Vertical inequality, which talks about variation among individuals or households in the entire distribution. Okay, example, top 1% versus bottom 50%. See, there are two types of inequality that we can understand. One is your vertical inequality. Okay. One is vertical inequality and horizontal inequality. When I talk about vertical inequality, I am basically saying top 1% of the population, bottom 50% of the population. What is the difference between their earnings, between the top 1%, bottom 50%? Horizontal inequality is variation among different groups. For example, we say caste inequality or religion based inequality, ethnicity based inequality. That is horizontal inequality. Okay, so these are first two dimensions, vertical and horizontal inequality. Then comes spatial inequality. Wherever the word spatial you will see, it means space, related to space inequalities. For example, urban and rural areas may, what is the disparity? What is the inequality? How much inequality is there in the rural areas? How much as compared to the urban areas? Or between the different states? Whether, what is the difference between the rich states and the lagging states. That is known as spatial inequality. Then we have sectoral inequality. What is sectoral inequality? We talked about the three sectors in the economy: agriculture, industry, and services sector. So there is sectoral inequality in that sense. Then multi-dimensional inequality, which talks about economic inequality also, like income and wealth. And along with that, it combines with social inequality also. That because you have economic inequality, then how are you deprived of the social aspect also? For example, education, health, gender. Okay? So multi-dimensional inequality is when we use everything in a broader perspective. Okay? Adi Singh, buffering, is it for others also? वैसे तो it should not buffer today. My internet is absolutely fine today. I don't know. I changed the connection right now. Is it fine or is it buffering? Video is not clear. Okay, wait. Okay, wait. Is it okay now? It should be fine now. I've checked it. Please let me know in the comment section if it's okay. Okay, so Rekha is saying it's fine. Okay. So we were talking about dimensions of inequality. Okay, vertical inequality, horizontal inequality. I think that is clear to you. And spatial and sectoral also, I think it's clear. Multi-dimensional inequality, which combines economic and social inequality. Okay. Any doubt till here, till dimensions of inequality? Anyone? If any of these points you missed, please let me know. Then we will move forward. So inequality, you can understand that inequality depends on what type of inequality that you are seeing. Spatial inequality, okay. See, spatial inequality is based on space. For example, urban versus rural areas. That because when people move from rural areas to urban areas, they migrate from rural areas to urban areas, and there is this problem of space. When you migrate, then there is this problem of space. That is why we are doing deforestation and all. There is slum development, there is overpopulation in the urban areas, right? So that is known as spatial inequality. Or you can say it can be between the rich states and the lagging states. If there are rich states, they can better we are seeing inequality between the regions in that case. And our spatial is related to space. Mostly we see it between rural and urban areas. Okay? I hope it is clear, Naveen. Then we have sectoral inequality. For example, we have three sectors in the economy: agriculture, industry, services. So differences between these, that is known as sectoral inequality. Multidimensional inequality is when we combine economic aspects with social aspects. For example, if there is lack of income, there is lack of wealth, then obviously it is going to be very difficult in focusing on education, health, and all. Right? That is multidimensional inequality. Right? Fine. So this is the basic concept of inequality, and now we need to understand that how can we measure inequality. Okay, how can we measure inequality? Most of the time, the most used measure of inequality is Gini index. Okay. Okay. So first measure of inequality is the Lorenz curve. Okay. There was an American economist, Max Lorenz, who gave this measure of inequality. What did he say? That what we are going to do is we are going to plot it on a graph. We are going to make this as a line of inequality. This is the line of inequality. The line of equality. That if everybody is on this point, every country is on this point, that means they are equal. Okay? Fine. So this is your 45-degree line. Then when we measure inequality, we are going to measure through the Lorenz curve. This is your Lorenz curve. ठीक है, this is your Lorentz curve. The farther you are going to be, the farther you are going to be, with this line of equality, the more unequal the country is going to be. ठीक है, so population, percentage of population is on the x-axis and percentage of income is on the y-axis. ठीक है, this is your line of equality. So Lorentz curve is a graph that shows the distribution of wealth or income within a population, that how is wealth and income distributed within a population. So you take a population on the x-axis, you take up income on the y-axis, ठीक है, and then you plot it in this graph. ठीक है, if you are, the farther your curve is from the line of equality, the more unequal you are. ठीक है, the more unequal you are, right? Fine. So this is your Lorentz curve. This is your line of equality. We have percentage of income on the y-axis, percentage of households or population on the x-axis. This is your Lorentz curve. So this Lorentz curve illustrates inequality. ठीक है. Second is your Gini coefficient or Gini index. This is very, very important. World Bank uses this to classify countries based on inequality. ठीक है. So Gini coefficient is what? It is a measure of income inequality in a population. It's calculated using the Lorentz curve. So Gini coefficient is based on Lorentz curve. How is it based on Lorentz curve? Let's take up this example. Let's take up this diagram only to understand. Fine. Let this portion be A. ठीक है, let this portion be A and let this portion be B. This leftover portion be B. ठीक है. So how do you calculate Gini index? A upon A plus B. So this portion upon this entire half triangle. This is how you calculate your Gini index. ठीक है. Fine. It is calculated using the Lorentz curve, which is a plot of the cumulative share of household income against cumulative share of household income against your cumulative share of households or population. ठीक है. This is fine. Okay, we know what Lorentz curve is. So from this Lorentz curve only we derive the Gini coefficient. ठीक है. So area between the Lorentz curve and the diagonal line of complete equality is your Gini coefficient. Now the value of Gini coefficient lies between 0 and 1. ठीक है. 0 means there is zero inequality. ठीक है. That means this is perfect equality. That means zero inequality. 1 is perfect inequality, complete inequality. So if your value is towards 0, then that means you are equal, and if your value is towards 1, that means you are unequal. ठीक है. Gini coefficient for India's income distribution in 22-23 was 0.402, down from 0.472 in 2014-15. So Gini index shows that it has your inequality has reduced. Inequality is there but reduced. ठीक है. Income inequality has decreased in recent years. ठीक है. Fine. So how do you calculate Gini coefficient? A upon A plus B. ठीक है. You can see over here. Fine. Okay. Then we have the Thiel index. You don't need to get into the detail of these Thiel index and all. Usually I did not teach these indices, but recently only I've done an assignment related to this in my PhD, and I had prepared an entire report. That is why I thought that I should explain this to you in detail. ठीक है. So there are other measures also apart from Lorentz curve and Gini coefficient. Most of the time you're going to see these two only, Lorentz curve and Gini coefficient. I'll share with you the link also of that PIB. ठीक है. There also they've just mentioned about Lorentz curve and Gini coefficient. ठीक है. But I thought that you should have a little more knowledge about this also. ठीक है. So we have Thiel index also. You don't need to remember this formula. You don't need, but I just thought I'll just share it with you. ठीक है. You just have to understand the crux key, what happens under Thiel index and why is it important. See, what happens is that there can be differences between India and US, right? We can see inequality between India and US, but there is also inequality within India and within US, and within India and within US. Or you can say that we have Hindus on one side, we have Muslims on one side. Now there are differences between Hindus and Muslims, but within Hindus also there is differences between different types of Hindus. Within Muslims also there are different types of Shia, Sunni Muslims, है ना? So there is a difference within groups also. So under this Thiel index, we are able to decompose. We are able to decompose, these two things. Inequality can be partitioned into within group and between group components. So we are able to find between different groups inequality also, and within the groups also we are able to find inequality. This is the benefit of Thiel index. Then we have Atkinson index also. Again, you do not need to go into the details. Okay? It adjusts for societal inequality. Okay? So the social aspect is taken up under Atkinson. Now in this index, what happens is, how do you measure inequality? We are going to take up two groups. Okay? We are going to take up two groups, group A and group B. For example, these groups are unequal. Okay? Let me hypothetically put in units that they get 100 units of a good, and B group gets only 50 units of good, है ना? Of a good. ठीक है? Okay. Now how many units will I have to transfer from A to B to get both A and B equal? Who's going to tell me? Just see over here. A has 100 units of a good. B has 50 units of good. Say, let's take up those units as chocolates. Okay? How many chocolates am I going to transfer from A to B so that both are equal? Yes, so all of you are saying 25. Right? If I transfer 25 from here to here, both of them will be equal. Yeah? Both of them will have 75 units. Yeah? Right? So how much is required to shift from A to B? 25 units. That is how Atkinson index measures inequality. 25 units ki inequality is there. This was just a hypothetical example, a very easy example, so that you can understand what this index means. It shows how much average income would be needed to be transferred to achieve equality. It is a measure of income inequality that reflects society's aversion to inequality. So societal aspect is taken into consideration. A higher Atkinson index value indicates greater inequality. So higher this index, higher the inequality. And higher the society's willingness to trade income for equality. Apart from that, we have DINA. DINA is distributional national accounts, which is going to measure what? Which is going to measure vertical inequality. Vertical inequality was top 1%, bottom 50% population, and that is vertical inequality. This is very, very important. See, we have modern economists, like we have Thomas Piketty, we have Lucas Chancel. These are certain modern economists, or you can say these are inequality economists, whose focus is specifically on inequality. There's a very famous book of Thomas Piketty, which I think everybody should read. So if you guys have time, you can read this book of Thomas Piketty, which is Capital in the 21st Century. Okay? Very good book, very comprehensive. It is very small also. You can easily read it also. It is not very lengthy also. So you can read it. So he is a very important inequality economist. So these economists like Thomas Piketty or Lucas Chancel, they have made World Inequality Lab. I'm sure you're going to read this. Whenever you study about inequality, you're going to read about this World Inequality Lab or World Inequality Database. So this World Inequality Lab is a research institution in Paris School of Economics. Okay? So they provide an open database related to inequality trends. What is the base of measuring inequality? What do they use? They use DINA, Distributional National Accounts, DINA methodology. What do they do is, they combine household surveys, they combine the tax administrative data, for example, how much we are paying as taxes and all. They combine the national accounts so that they can better estimate top shares. Top shares matlab the top 1% of the population, what is the share of wealth or share of income that they have. Okay, so DINA methodology or DINA methodology, this is used by the World Inequality Lab. You are going to see a lot of data related to World Inequality Lab. It is a very comprehensive database. Okay, so they publish data related to that. So according to them, for India, by 2023, the top 1% share of national income is 22.6%. That means top 1% of the people, they have approximately 22.6% of national income. This is India's scenario. Okay? And if I talk about wealth, then top 1% of the population have approximately 40.1% of wealth. So you can see how much inequality is there in the country based on DINA, based on distributional national accounts. Okay, we are going to do a contrast in this. Abhi, you just need to understand that these are the measures of inequality. Okay, usually in my previous classes also, I used to only add Lorentz curve and Gini coefficient because these were the important ones. Okay? But since I've written a paper on this, so I thought I would also add these things also. Thiel index, Atkinson index, DINA. Okay? In my research that I did, I can share with you also the research that I've done. Okay, I'll share with you in some time. You guys are preparing for next year, so when I get it back, I will share it with you. Okay, so I used Gini index, which is basically used by World Bank. There are contrasting results according to Gini index by World Bank and according to DINA methodology of World Inequality Lab. Okay, so there are two contrasting results of that. We are going to see it in the next few slides. So this is your measurement of inequality. I hope it is clear till here. Any doubt till here, anyone? Is everything clear? How do we measure inequality? Have you guys understood or not? Please let me know in the comment section. And I hope audio and video is also fine now. So Rekha and Vibhuti are saying clear. No, World Inequality Lab, they provide data within 2 to 3 years of time. Okay, not on a regular basis. World Inequality Lab. But World Bank provides it regularly. Okay, World Bank, in 1 or 2 years of time, they do provide the Gini index. Fine. There is no range. World Inequality Lab, their range is around 2 to 3 years. World Bank, mostly every year we do get the results. Or maybe alternative year. Okay, Naveen? So clear till here? Fine. Let's move forward now. Let's talk about inequality trends in India. See, what happens is when you guys study on your own, when you write an answer, you need data to write in your answer. I have provided that data to you in your this PDF only. So you do not need to go anywhere else. So whenever you practice your answer writing, use this much data. Because what happens is your data also for answer writing has to be limited. You can't learn all kinds of data. So keep it also limited, because when you start your answer introduction, if data is added, it is going to be a good thing for you. You can conclude by writing data. For that, I have added all of this. Okay? So if I talk about wealth inequality, India is one of the most unequal countries in the world. Okay? With the top 10% of the population holding 77% of the total national wealth. So top 10% of the population holds 77% of the total national wealth. You can see that top 10% of the population, only the rich are holding 77% of wealth. By wealth, we mean all the assets. The richest 1% of the Indian population owns 53% of the country's wealth, while the poorer half jostles for a mere 4.1% of national wealth. Okay? The previous data that I gave you over here, this is according to World Inequality Lab, and this data is according to the Oxfam report. You can remember any of this. It's better if you remember World Inequality. You can remember both of these. Both are fine. Okay? Rich are getting richer at a much faster pace, while poor are still struggling to earn a minimum wage. This is your wealth inequality trend. If I talk about income inequality, okay, wait. So 40 point, you can see over here, top 1% population, national income 22.6% and 40.1% of wealth of this, the top 1% population. Fine. So this is according to Oxfam report. That is according to your Dina. Okay. If I talk about inequality, income inequality, then 22.6% of national income went up to top 1% World Inequality Database. Okay. Abhi the new, this is 22-23 is the latest one. Abhi we have not received the new database. Okay. It is among the very highest in the world, higher even than the US. You can see. Okay. Rural urban divide, if I talk about that, average monthly per capita consumption expenditure, यानी कि monthly basis पे how much is the average per capita consumption expenditure, how much amount of how much expenditure is incurred for consumption is 3773 in rural areas and 6457 in urban India. So you can see this difference. Around 3700 in rural areas and around 6400 in urban areas. This is almost more than double is the difference between the two. Double difference. You can see this gap over here. Plus, there is gender pay gap also. In India, men earn 82% of labor income, whereas women earn 18% of it. This is according to World Inequality Report 2022. Now, why have I added the source over here? Yes, Sureka, hai na? There's a huge difference. Now, why am I adding the sources over here? Because when you write your answers, always quote the source. If you quote your source from where you have taken up, the data, again your answer gives more value, and it looks like that you are you have studied things in a proper manner. Okay, fine. So top end concentration is at historically high levels, and according to World Inequality Lab or World Inequality Database, top 1% received 22.6% of national income and approximately 40.1% of national wealth. Right, these are at a very peak period, hai na? Survey or consumption inequality has recently fallen. We saw, according to World Bank, we are the fourth most equal country. See how much there is stark difference between these also. And this consumption inequality, this is based on household consumption expenditure survey of 23-24. Rural consumption Guinea 0.237, urban consumption Guinea 0.284, which are both down from the previous year 2023. That means inequality has reduced. But which inequality? Consumption inequality. That means, what does this show? That whether we are talking about vertical inequality or whether we are talking about consumption inequality, that is going to matter when we consider inequality. Okay, so according to Dina methodology, we are the most unequal country. And according to the survey Guinea, with this consumption Guinea, we are the fourth most equal. So it depends on the parameter that we are judging when we are equal or not. Okay? Female labor force participation rate has risen sharply. Okay? PLFS shows female labor force participation approximately 41.7%. This also shows कि ठीक है, the gender gap has reduced. Right? Just 1 second. Okay? Fine. So this was your this is your PIB screenshot only. India's story on bridging inequality. World Bank places India among world's most equal societies. Fourth globally, India ranks fourth globally in income equality with a Gini score of 25.5. Extreme poverty dropped to 2.3% in 2023, says World Bank. 171 million Indians moved out of extreme poverty. Now you must be thinking 25.5, and over there we were seeing 0.237. So it's just percentage ka difference. And when you multiply by 100, you get in percentage terms. And when you're seeing it in points, it is 0.237. Like that. Okay? Fine. So this was the news. That consumption-based Gini index. Now, usually we see Gini index on consumption based, which has decreased from 28.8 to 25.5. So India's world's fourth largest economy. India's Gini index stands at 25.5, fourth most equal countries in the world. For after Slovak Republic, Slovenia, Belarus, and then is India. Okay, remember the first three also. Okay, which is a very important achievement according to World Bank. It reflects how India's economic progress is being shared more evenly across its population. Okay? So now I was saying that your household surveys consumption inequality shows that household that shows consumption inequality fell recently. But your distribution national accounts, they are saying that top end concentration has increased for both national income and wealth. That means whether we are seeing inequality, when we are seeing inequality, what parameter are we measuring? That is what matters over here. That is why I was talking about the debate that, one side we are saying that inequality has reduced, one side inequality is so much. So it depends on different database that we are following. What is the truth for India? Why I have added this? This is very important because usually what you're going to see, usually when you study, if you study on your own or from any other class also, you're only going to see that India has become the fourth most equal country, like that. Mostly you restrict yourself to that. But why I'm giving you World Inequality Database report, so that you get the actual scenario. You should have both sides of the coin. You should know about both sides of the coin. If you're studying, study everything more holistically. When you get deep into some topic, you can never forget it all. Sometimes what happens is that you study about something and then you forget it very easily. Why does that happen? Because you don't in detail try to study about this. When you try to study things from every dimension, it is going to be very easy and you'll be able to remember also. So what I'm trying to say here, that there are two simultaneous empirical truths for India. One is according to the household surveys, which is used by World Bank, Consumption Guinea, and one side we have DINA, Distribution National Accounts, which talk about top end income and wealth by World Inequality Lab. If you mention these things in your answer will be very, very good. Okay? Fine. Then let's talk about the impact of economic inequality. What is the impact? Firstly, there's going to be slower economic growth. Okay? Because when there is huge amount of inequality, this weakens the aggregate demand, because some people are able to demand, some people are not able to increase their demand, which reduces the long-term economic growth. So economic growth is hampered because of inequality. Right? Then low human capital formation. Poor households invest less in education and health, lowering national productivity. Okay, so when these poor people, we are not able to basically harness the human capital. We are not able to harness the human potential that we have. And when we are not able to enhance their productivity or utilize their productivity, their national productivity decreases and then economic growth decreases. Okay? Then reduce social mobility also. Birth determines opportunities. Inequality becomes self-perpetuating. So when you are born in a poor household, you remain poor and then your generations also remain poor, which leads to poverty trap. So you remain trapped in poverty only. Okay? Higher poverty and vulnerability. So when you are poor, inequalities rise. Because growth becomes less poverty reducing when gains concentrate at the top. So when gains are concentrated for the few, amongst the few people, and it is not redistributed, then the problem arises. Poor social indicators, high inequality is linked with worse outcomes in health, nutrition, education, and crime. Okay? Political capture. Elites influence policies in their favor, weakening democracy and public trust. So what happens is, the more influential you get, the more money and the more wealth you have, you start changing the political dynamics based on the amount of money you have. For example, if I have a lot of money, for example, I'm Adani or a Bani, what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide money to that political party which is going to be in my favor. When that kind of money is given to political parties, they can use it in their campaigning and all. And when your campaigning and everything is good, then you will be able to better capture the masses, the votes of the masses. So that is how the more concentrated wealth is among a few individuals, the more they can influence the political setup of the country. So it weakens democracy, weakens the public trust in that case. Right? Then fiscal constraints. For example, low tax compliance and resistance to redistribution reduce state capacity. So there are fiscal constraints also. Okay, when people try to evade a lot of taxes, then money is not going to be there with the government. They're not be able to focus on social welfare. How will they redistribute the resources? Right? Then labor market dualism. Inequality contributes to a divide between high skilled formal jobs and low skilled informal work. So there's going to be a huge divide in that case also. It is going to create social conflict. Widening gaps can increase polarization, social tensions, instability. Because if there's going to be inequality, there's going to be unemployment. If there's going to be unemployed people, बोलते हैं ना खाली दिमाग शैतान का घर, है ना? When you are not able to utilize your brains in something, your brain can actually work in the negative thing. You get a lot of negative thoughts when you do not have anything to work. That is why we say that, keep yourself busy so that you do not have empty space in your mind to think about the bad things. Now, when the youth are going to be unemployed, when they're not going to have work to do, they are going to focus on what? They're going to focus on ill effects like drugs and all, terrorism and all. They're going to move towards that. Right? Just a second. ठीक है? Fine, then environmental stress. The rich consume more resources while the poor face greater climate vulnerability. So the rich are going to use resources more, but the impact of climate change is going to be on the poor people. Then intergenerational inequality. Current disparities translate into lifelong disadvantages for the next generation. So there is generational inequality also. Nepal Gen Z protests. Yes, very good. Oh, what is resistance to redistribution? Resistance to redistribution means that when what happens is, for example, taxation is a way of redistribution. Okay? Taxation is one way of redistribution. What happens is you collect taxes from the people who can pay taxes and then utilize that money, redistribute that money through different government schemes and all, social welfare schemes and all. Okay? And resistance to redistribution means when these the political people and all, they are not able to redistribute that kind of money. That is known as redistribution. That is known as resistance to redistribution, when you're not able to redistribute the wealth. ठीक है? Okay? ठीक है. So this is the impact of economic inequality. Okay, so it is going to lead to social unrest and conflict, reduced social mobility, environmental degradation, perpetuation of poverty and deprivation. It hinders human development. It leads to political instability also, because if the people are not happy, they're going to get into protests and all. It is going to overall reduce the economic growth. Okay? Now, if you get an answer, you have to, whenever you write the challenges, whenever you write the impact and all, there's always I have always told you, whenever you do answer writing, whenever you write about the impact or the challenges, it is very important to write about the way forward or the measures. So you should know what measures the government is also taking. You should note some schemes also related to reducing inequality, and along with that you should have some good constructive measures also to write in your answer. Okay? For example, firstly we should focus on inclusive growth. So we have Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihood Mission, NRLM, which aims to reduce poverty by enabling poor households to access gainful self-employment and skilled wage employment opportunities. So we have DAY, NRLM. What is this? National Rural Livelihood Mission. This is basically, it helps the self-help groups, the women self-help groups, to bridge this, income inequality wala portion. Okay? Fine. So people, they mobilize their savings together, all these women, and they get loan from the government also to do some kind of work for self-employment purposes. Okay, we have other initiatives. For example, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Yojana, Manrega. We have Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which provides affordable housing to the people who are living in kacha houses. We have Skill India Mission for skill development purposes. Okay? Then second measure can be focusing on financial inclusion, reaching the last mile. Okay? For that we have Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, so that we can ensure access to financial services like banking, savings, insurance, remittance. Other initiatives like Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, Stand Up India scheme. Then you can focus on social security measures, like we have Atal Pension Yojana, which is an old age income security scheme for unorganized sector in the age group of 18 to 40 years. We have other initiatives like Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. Okay? Fine. Then promoting gender equality. Focus on reducing the gender gaps. For that, we have Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, which was launched to prevent gender biased sex selective elimination. We have other initiatives like One Stop Center schemes, Swadhar Greh, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Then focusing on sustainable development is important. We have National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, which was launched to make agriculture more productive. है ना? Sustainable, remunerative. You have National Mission of Enhanced Energy Efficiency, uh, National Action Plan on Climate Change. ठीक है? Fine, so these are the measures. Apart from that, what are the challenges that why are we not able to reduce inequality? What are the hindrances that we are not able to reduce inequality? Yes, Rachna, there are lectures. I will share. I've taken up a YouTube session also on answer writing. Plus, I've taken it on your, this paid batches also. Abhi, वैसे तो your only this part static portion has started. Answer writing has not yet started. I don't know if the answer writing batch is available for you to see or not, but I will check it out. And for fundamentals of answer writing, descriptive writing, I will share the YouTube video with you. Please remind me, okay? Okay, Rachna? Just remind me. So what are the challenges? Firstly, there is huge amount of population. Population size is also high and it is diverse also. Okay, everybody is different and their tastes and preferences are different. India's massive and diverse population of over 1.3 billion makes it challenging to implement uniform policies and initiatives because there is so much of diversity that one kind of policy cannot be implemented everywhere. We need multiple policies catering to different kinds of people. Persistent social inequalities. Social inequalities, for example, caste based inequalities, gender based inequalities, which are ingrained in the mindset of the people. Until and unless the mindset is changed, economic inequality cannot be reduced. Right? So that is one major hindrance. Then limited resources. The resources are only limited. This is what we see, the problem of scarcity. So resources are only limited. Kis ko bante? India's limited financial resources often constrain the government's ability to allocate sufficient funds. Then governance and implementation challenges, inefficient governance, corruption, poor implementation of policies and programs. So on-ground implementation is weak. Then resistance to structural reforms, vested interests, resistance to structural reforms such as land reforms, labor reforms. So we bring in land reforms, the government brings in certain reforms, but the people kind of resist to these reforms. For example, you can see that the three farm laws that were introduced by the government, it was for the betterment of the farmers, but people were not ready to accept. And until and unless the people are ready to accept the changes and the reforms, changes cannot actually be brought in. Right? So resistance to structural reforms is another thing. Okay, so these are the major challenges in countering wealth and income inequality in India. Acha, now I forgot to ask you the question over here. My question was that when we talk about consumption based inequality, that has reduced in the country, that has reduced in India. That means, as that means consumption in India is quite good. If we talk about the rich or the poor, consumption is fine. Consumption is okay. But when I talk about that means consumption and all is okay, as if we compare ourselves to the developed countries. In that case, we are the most equal country, and in fact, better than the advanced countries like US. Why is that so? What does that mean? Can you think of any reason behind this? Anyone? Can you think of any possible reason? Inflation under control. Okay. Anybody? Anything else? Anyone else? Can you think of a reason behind this? See, let's take up two kind of people. Okay, A and person B. A is earning 10,000 per month and B is earning say 1 lakh per month. Okay. Now both are individuals, both are going to consume goods and services and all. Okay. But if you compare both of them, who is going to spend more in case of consumption as compared to the other person? If I talk about A and B, who is going to, out of A and B, I have given you the income levels. Take it 10,000, 1 lakh. Out of these, who is going to consume more? What do you think? Naveen, think of it in a very comprehensive manner. Okay? I have 10,000 rupees and you have 1 lakh rupees. Out of us, whose income is going to be more towards, whose income is going to be more towards consumption? Who's going to save more? Whose income is going to go more towards consumption? Yes, exactly. So it's A. Why? Because poor people, they consume more if we compare them towards when we compare them with those people who have higher income. And for example, up see A is an adult, say 25 years adult, and B is also 25 years adult, right? Their calories intake or their consumption and all, their needs and all, they're going to be kind of similar. Out of 10,000, 5,000 rupees, for example, they are going to utilize 5,000 rupees out of their income. They are going to utilize 5,000 for consumption. Let's assume that their consumption needs are equal. Assumption. So when you try to calculate, consumption of A is going to be more than consumption of B. So when we try and take out an average, then the consumption is going to be on an average same. So in terms of consumption, what we are saying that they are equal. But in reality, money or income is concentrated with person B. Right? That is what I'm trying to say. So there is this concept in economics which is known as average propensity to consume. Average propensity to consume. There's this concept that on an average, how much does the person consume out of the total income? And through empirical studies, empirical verification, average propensity to consume of the poor is higher than the rich. Okay? This is an empirical stated fact. That is how economics comes in every field or every area. Economics, we guys study it in a very detailed and you can say technical sense, but this is applicable over here. Yes, being poor is so expensive. Yes, I had shared one, not even article, it was a small clip. Even though B consumes more, the gap in consumption is much smaller than the gap in their income. Yes, exactly, Ambadi. That is what I'm trying to portray. No, I agreed with you, Naveen, but I hope you have understood what point I am trying to bring in. Okay, so the average propensity to consume of the poor is greater than that of the rich. This is the empirical verification and empirical study which has proved this point. And that is why on consumption basis we are equal, because on an average we are consuming more only. So the average terms, because there are outliers also, extreme in taking up average of something, the extreme values are obviously ignored. That is why consumption comes on a very base level ki consumption inequality is less. That is why when we talk about DINA methodology takes in many things, not just consumption. It takes up household service, tax, administrative data, national accounts and all. So it is a more comprehensive measure which gives you the real scenario ki bhai actually there is a lot of concentration of income and wealth. Okay, everyone. So this is how I would like to end your session today. And also I'm going to give you a homework that you have to read about something known as Kuznets curve. Kuznets curve. Okay? Kuznets curve or Kuznets hypothesis shows the relationship between economic growth and income. Okay? Or you can say economic growth and income inequality, you can say. Okay? So Kuznets curve, this is your homework. You're going to read about this, and tomorrow we are going to discuss about Kuznets hypothesis. that we are what this means is that on consumption basis we are on an average equal, but when we talk about income levels, they are concentrated more with a few individuals, and that is how inequality, vertical inequality, is very high. You can say that, contribution to national income is less as compared to how much we are consuming, because consumption cannot be reduced. Sometimes you will beg, borrow, steal, and you will consume. So consumption on average remains kind of equal in our country, but otherwise there is huge amount of inequality. Okay, so your homework is you are going to read about Kuznets hypothesis. You're going to check what is the relationship between the two. Okay, fine. So is everything clear to all of you? Please let me know in the comment section. Okay, wait for that also. Let's just cover MCQs and then you can tell me at the end whether everything is clear or not. First question: what information can be derived specifically through the Lorenz curve? Poverty gap between developed, developing, and marginalized economies, transformation of GDP per capita over time, income concentration against a 45-degree curve, or none of the above? What is the answer to this first question? Read the question very carefully. Lorenz curve. Absolutely correct. Income concentration against a 45-degree line. So we saw this was the 45-degree line and income concentration against this 45-degree line. Okay? A value of 1 in Gini index represents low inequality, maximum inequality. %10 inequality or 1% inequality? What is the answer? A, B, C, or D for question number 2. Absolutely correct. Value lies between 0 and 1. 0 means zero inequality, maximum inequality. So B is the correct answer. Okay. So that is all from my side related to your inequality chapter. I hope this is clear to all of you. I have written a homework question over here. You can go through this question, write an answer, and share with me on Telegram. If anybody is new over here, you can connect with me on Telegram. Mannat Educator is my Telegram handle. Connect with me here, and you can share your answer. Before you guys leave, please provide your feedback and rating also, and write in the comment section whether you have understood or not. Please give me a thumbs up if you've understood. If there's any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. What is the homework question? The question has two parts. First is, what do you mean by inequality? Discuss its various dimensions. What is the status of inequality in India? Okay. B part is, identify the challenges in countering economic inequality and suggest measures for decreasing inequality. So first you have to talk about what inequality is. This is your first keyword. You have to talk about the dimensions. You have to talk about status of inequality. So you can quote Oxfam report or World Inequality Database. Then you talk about the challenges and then the measures. Try to write an answer. This is for 15 marks. Okay? Okay, I will send the question in the group. Understood, everyone? Any doubt? You're welcome, everyone. Please provide your feedback before you leave, okay? That is very, very important. Don't forget to provide your feedback and rating. That is all from my side. Thank you so much. I hope this session was useful and helpful for all of you. Take care. Keep studying. Download the PDF and revise it time and again, okay? Okay, Vibhuti, Srinidhi, Naveen, good night to all of you. Keep studying, and we're going to meet tomorrow with the next session. Okay? And after a few days, I will also share my write-up also related to inequality. That is also going to really help you. Best I've explained everything to you. The crux of everything, but you can read that also. Take care. And your homework is also that you have to read about Kuznets hypothesis. Okay? Kuznets hypothesis, again important. Chalo. Okay then, good night everyone. I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye.